Hello, Cancer. Here's your horoscope for the week of February 14 to February 20th. Well, we start out the week with the moon in Pisces and we end the week with the sun in Pisces. And what that means for you is, since Pisces the fish is a fellow water sign to Cancer the crab, it puts the sign in the ninth house of the solar zodiac for Cancer. And what that means is that as the rest of the month wears on, the rest of the week and this month, and as we get into March, Cancer will be much more inclined to be looking at higher education, perhaps travel or increased short trips. Often more ninth house is long trips, but sometimes it's also short trips, especially if you work in the area of logistics or the travel industry. But in general, the sign of Pisces is very, very positive for Cancer. Even in a rather dry house like the ninth house, it does at least help Cancer feel a little more connected to life, and especially it helps them feel more connected to their philosophies, perhaps even religion and spirituality, or what that may be for you. Now, good news is Mercury is ending its retrograde by Saturday. And when it makes that station and moves direct, that means there will be no more retrograde planets for a little while anyway, so we can all begin to move forward. Cancer is a sign that, although they might complain about the past, you tend to live in the past a little bit. Cancer is a little bit too attached sometimes to feelings and emotions, and sometimes negative emotions. Cancer can harbor a fair bit of emotional pain. They can weather a lot of emotional pain as well, but they do tend to keep those deep feelings in, well, until something happens and it comes gushing out of you, and then that's when people say you're moody. The fact of the matter is, you carry a lot of feelings in general, whether you express them or not. It's the lack of expressing your feelings that will often get you into trouble. So, about trouble. Well, we still have Saturn square Uranus till April. It's going to be doing it off and on all year. We currently have the Mercury retrograde and Jupiter squaring a point in the sky called Dark Moon Lilith. And Dark Moon Lilith, or sometimes called Black Moon Lilith, unfortunately is a point in the sky that, or in our horoscope, that tends to represent our darkest and deepest emotions and feelings. Well, that is a potential whole vat of feelings for you, Cancer, because you do feel and emote so much. But unfortunately, these kind of squares to this Lilith point do tend to cause people to erupt with more negative feelings and emotions, and often seeing things more darkly negative than they really are even. So guard against those kinds of feelings if you can this week. Things are not as negative as you always believe. You do tend to sometimes see the glass as half empty, not half full, Cancer. So you might need to be brought to awareness of that this week in particular. With Venus squaring Mars, that tends to create some frustrations within relationships. This square is not affecting you directly. There is indirect, perhaps, connections to the sign of Cancer, at least with the Mars semi-sextiling the moon and Venus quincunxing Cancer planets. But in general, relationships, they're kind of up and down for you. You sometimes don't speak your mind, and that creates some issues. Other times you speak your mind a little much, or you express your emotions a little much, and it wears people out. I know you don't intend to play games and manipulate, but sometimes that is how it comes off to other people. They may misjudge your moodiness and your emotions as you trying to push their buttons and trying to manipulate them and maneuver them into places where you would rather have them be. If you do that, I can guarantee it's not going to work this week. Not with these squares going on, not with Mercury retrograde in particular. So do guard against some of your own potentially negative coping mechanisms this week. You may be brought up very short by somebody if you try it this week. Chiron sextiling Saturn all month is a wonderful soft spot here. Now, Chiron in Aries may be frustrating your sign. It might be squaring some Cancer planets for you. But in general, Chiron, as the wounded healer, will sometimes come about in relationship to other planets and within a horoscope to augment healing. And for yourself, this healing occurs in the 10th house for you. So that puts your major career aspirations, any work that has you out in front of the public, some of that's a little bit frustrated this week. For example, if you have to be in front of the public, you'd probably rather not be this week. Or if you have to do some sort of public presentation with Mercury retrograde, maybe something will go wrong, something will upset you, and your moodiness or temper may be seen by other people that you do try to hide sometimes. So if anything like that happens, try to remember my warning that you got to try to keep your emotions together, try to keep your cool this week, because very often the perception of things by Cancer may be a little bit more negative than they really are. Now, that's not to discount that we certainly have gone through a very, very extraordinary last year with this pandemic. So your emotions may be justified. It's just how you express them that you might want to take a good look at this week, Cancer. And if you're not expressing them at all, that could be part of the problem. Be careful, because these Lilith, this point called Lilith that is being squared by a couple planets may cause some of your negative feelings to erupt with the wrong people or in the wrong situation. Other than that, Pisces is very positive for you. The Neptune in Pisces and the Sun moving into Pisces by the end of the week starts perhaps next week to be much more positive for you, Cancer. I certainly hope so. Have a great week ahead.